During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, many churches and places of worship were forced to close their doors amid health concerns. Perhaps even your own church went virtual and was not allowed to host in-person services. But what does this say about religious freedoms in a time of crisis? Joining us now is famed attorney Ken Starr, who served as a U.S. Circuit Judge and the 39th Solicitor General of the United States. He's best known for heading up the investigation of the Clinton administration, known as the Whitewater Scandal, and his new book, Religious Liberty in Crisis: Exercising Your Faith in an Age of Uncertainty, is out now, and we're going to hear a little bit about it. Ken Starr, thank you so much for coming on National Report today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. As we've seen, some churches, they've started to reopen again as restrictions begin to ease. Not all the way, perhaps it's every other pew. But what are your sort of takeaways from what we've seen during COVID-19 and how different governors and states have put restrictions in place on religious freedoms?
Exactly. There are so many governors who decided, hey, for whatever reason, I'm not going to get into motivation, we're really going to crack down on churches' religious worship. One of the worst was New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. He actually limited, in certain sections of the city, attendance to 10 people. Well, that's practically a house church or a home church. And even the governor of California was trying to limit home Bible studies, all in the name of public health. But they went too far. And the good news is, and this is a news flash for all of us, we've got to be prepared to stand up, to be courageous, and to fight for our religious liberty. The good news is the Supreme Court of the United States has been very responsive, sometimes unanimously, to claims of religious freedom, but the culture has become quite hostile to religious liberty. And so we have to, and the purpose of the book is to give individuals, pastors, but also just individuals, the tools to say, no, here are the principles in our constitutional order. This isn't just my opinion. I'm speaking, with all due respect, from the voice of the Supreme Court of the United States over decades, including the voice of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
You say also that the culture has been hostile to religious liberties. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, especially when we're seeing objections to the Little Sisters of the Poor, a Catholic order, not providing contraceptives to their employees. When we're seeing the city of Philadelphia terminate the ability of Catholic social services in that city to provide services, foster child placement services that have been provided by Catholic social services in that city for well over a century. When we see bakers and other kinds of service providers being challenged in different states for their unwillingness as a matter of conscience to create a certain kind of artistry, a specialty cake. Those things weren't happening 20 years ago. They're happening every day now because of the hostility of some, I'm just going to call it a secular viewpoint, of hostility to traditional religious viewpoints shared by the great Abrahamic faiths. We're not talking about a religious cult with some idiosyncratic view. We're talking about the views of mainstream Christianity, of Orthodox Judaism, of Islam, in the whole arena of, do we have to participate in the celebration of a same-sex ceremony and so forth? They have the constitutional right, obviously. The Supreme Court has held that controversially. But shouldn't we at the same time protect freedom of conscience? That's the key point that I'm arguing in the book.
And you mentioned these examples, of course, taking place on American soil, but there have been some viral videos that we've seen online recently, one in England, one in Canada as well, during church religious services where members of the police departments or local authorities had come in attempting to stop these services from taking place. And again, this is not happening in the United States specifically, but based on what you're seeing and the research you've done and these cases that you followed here, is there any chance that we could see something similar in the U.S.?
There is a danger, but here's the good news. Our Constitution sets its face against any such activity by police officers, law enforcement, and the like. But we have to be prepared so that we don't just say, I object, this isn't my opinion. But we have to be prepared as citizens to be able to say, look, I live in the sweet land of liberty. You're trying to take the liberty away from my church, my synagogue, and you cannot do that consistent with our constitutional norms. And this is the view of the Supreme Court of the United States, again, at times unanimously so. So the culture may turn against us, people of faith, but the Supreme Court and our Constitution, it's the oracle of the Constitution, is standing up for us thus far. So let us hope and pray that that continues.
Yeah, go back to the Constitution. As you say, the recent Supreme Court decision by a 5-4 vote, the Supreme Court lifts restrictions on prayer meetings in homes. We've got that for you on your screen there. But Ken, just running out of time, but your final thoughts on, again, this commission to examine court reforms in the United States. What do you think could come from the findings after 180 days?
Well, I'm deeply concerned, yet at the same time, I'm optimistic. The Supreme Court, and that's what this is all about, operates very efficiently. Whether you agree or disagree with a particular decision or not really doesn't matter. The court does its work. It does its work in a highly professional way. It's not broke. Don't try to fix it. And I think that the president is going to face exactly what FDR faced 87 years ago. The American people, through their representatives, saying, no, we are not going to tinker with the structure of a well-working part of government.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Ken Starr, always appreciate your legal analysis. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.